super helpful. Thanks, we're almost ready for market.
Well, do you need anybody to go to the crawl space?
Yeah, actually that'd be excellent. There's some vapor barrier down there.
JK, we're gonna hire that out.
So maybe you've noticed that we are in a different location today, and we are shooting at a house that is getting ready to be listed this coming week.
It's a real house that's gonna be for sale for real.
And this house, even though we've got a few more projects that are needing to be completed, is dramatically different from when we were through here, I don't know, a couple months ago.
It smells different, it looks different, it's night and day. And this, all I can think is, she's gonna get so much more money.
This seller in particular was willing to invest some money and let me know that the first time that we met. And so in this case, because of the neighborhood of the house and sort of the age and condition, the major systems were in good shape, had a newer roof, updated windows, plumbing and electrical were in good shape. It really made sense for the seller to invest in some of the cosmetic improvements.
It had just been a rental, which is a common story. Like, people had had their rental for a while. The last tenant might have loved it or worn it out a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And in order, if you could put it on the market like that, or you can do a few things.
And this is again an opportunity. Speak with a realtor. You really need to have an evaluation of what's the value. And I gave the seller a price if she did nothing, and a price if she put between $10,000 and $15,000 into the home. And understandably, not everybody's got that money, but there are a few key things that you can do that will really make a huge difference.
And I would say, caution. Make sure you talk to someone like Anne first, because you want to do the right things.
Aww.
Certain things will get you lots of money, and certain things are a waste of time. And Anne has a sort of savant-like talent for walking in and knowing what's going to make a difference to your bottom line.
I think it's not necessarily a talent. There's some pretty easy things. There are easy things to start with. For me, and in a prior video we've discussed that Marguerite doesn't smell, but for me, the smell when you walk into a home is one of the first things to take under consideration. So if it's been smoked in, if there's been dogs in here, which this one smell a little bit like pets, see if there's a way to fix that. I mean, some of those fixes are more complicated than others, but often that's paint, that's flooring, and if you get those two going, you'll be in much better shape. So in this house, the hardwood floors got refinished, the old carpet got torn out and replaced, and the entire property got painted on the interior. Not only is it neutral now for the new buyer, but it's light and bright. It was a series of a bunch of different colors in here before, which we got into quite the controversy on Instagram recently over neutral versus color. I am always going to argue for neutral because it allows that blank slate sort of scenario both in photographs and when a buyer comes in person.
I don't think what people realize is, even though that living room wall does look amazing in avocado, as someone who spends a lot of time with buyers, people will love a house and say, it doesn't look right with my $1,500 couch. Let's keep going.
Which seems crazy, right?
It seems nuts, but people don't want to do work. And that's kind of the moral of this story, is you think to yourself, all right, so the house is a few different colors and the hardwood floors need refinishing. The buyer can do that. The buyer can do that.
Yeah.
The buyer doesn't want to do that.
And
they'll pay more.
There's a premium. I was going to say, there's a premium in this market if the house is move-in ready.
So we're in North Tacoma.
Great neighborhood.
Great neighborhood. In spring of 2014.
The market's in full bloom.
Not a ton of inventory out there. So this seller was very smart to not turn over the house in its previous condition, just rented.
Yep, for many years.
Yeah, and to put a little money into putting on market. Why was she so smart?
Well, because the option of selling as is attractive to some people, and it's a viable option depending on your circumstances. But if you're in a great neighborhood and you've got a house with good bones and good solid mechanicals, there's a high demand for move-in ready properties. And of course, we've discussed before the value of good photos and great presentation online. A home that is finished and that a buyer can envision themselves just packing up and moving into gets a premium price right now.
Yeah, and I mean, so many buyers start off kind of saying like, oh, we don't mind painting the walls, we don't mind doing some carpet or whatever, but if they walk into a house and it's done, they'll pay more.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
There's also the other element of financing. So we had a few projects around here that really needed to be taken care of. I mean, there obviously was the paint and the floors and the more pretty cosmetic things, but a couple of other items that could potentially have been inspection or appraisal issues. And so I obviously advised the seller to also take advantage of the time that we were doing repairs and get those done.
Well, and what you mean by that is when the buyer's appraiser comes out, they're not just looking to make sure it has enough bedrooms and bathrooms and square footage to justify the price. They're actually going to make sure certain things are not, what are some examples?
Well, things like broken shingles on the siding. We had an exterior spigot that was leaking. I mean, sometimes there's smaller things, but we really wanted this to be a good, clean transaction and for the home to sell once. And because of that, I'll encourage people to take care of those repairs ahead of time.
Yeah.
Make it smooth, and you'll get a buyer in the door right away who's willing to pay you your asking price because the house presents so nicely.
Yeah.
So we're almost done here. Be on the market pretty soon. Wrap up a couple of projects. But if you need help getting your list together, be sure you reach out to a realtor before you've spent too much money. Get an opinion on what it would be worth as is and what it would be worth with some improvements. And maybe it's worth spending a little money before you list it.
And ask a realtor that knows.
Clearly.